6 months after my twin sister disappeared, she walked into my workplace wearing my engagement ring and pretending to be me. I froze at my desk, coffee cup suspended midair as Olivia strode confidently through the marketing agency where I'd worked for 3 years. She wore a burgundy dress I'd bought last month but hadn't even worn yet. My hair was styled exactly how I wore mine, shoulder length with subtle highlights. Emma, my colleague Ashies, touched my arm. Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I couldn't find words. In many ways I was seeing a ghost. After months of desperate searching, unanswered questions, and finally a memorial service where I'd placed flowers on an empty casket, my twin sister was suddenly here, wearing my clothes, my engagement ring, and my identity. That's not me, I whispered to Tashist, my voice barely audible as I watched Olivia charm my coworkers. That's my sister. Mia squinted in confusion. Your sister, the one who died? Before I could answer, Olivia locked eyes with me across the room. For a split second, I saw something flash in her expression: recognition, calculation, triumph, before her face crumpled in theatrical shock. Oh my God, she gasped loudly, drawing everyone's attention. Who is that woman? Why does she look like me? My boss Marcus stepped between us, looking from me to her in confusion. Emma, what's going on? The sickening realization hit me as both Olivia and I answered, I am Emma. At the same time, she rushed toward me, her expression a perfect mask of concern tinged with fear. Marcus, call security. I don't know who this is, but she's not supposed to be here. I stood up so quickly my chair crashed backward. I am Emma Sullivan. I worked here for 3 years. She's my twin sister, Olivia. Olivia shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. I don't have a sister. Please, you are scaring me. My colleagues stared at us in shocked silence. 2 identical women, both claiming to be Emma Sullivan. Check her ID, I demanded, pulling out my own driver's license. I can prove who I am. Olivia's hand flew to her mouth in apparent distress. She has fake identification. James warned me this might happen. My fiancé Esteno. My stomach plummeted as I realized the full extent of what was happening. Shobol, my sister, hadn't just returned from the dead. She'd invaded my life completely. Call James, I demanded, my voice shaking. Call him right now. Marcus reluctantly dialed, putting the phone on speaker. When James answered, he said, James, here is a situation at the office. There are 2 Emmas here. There was a pause before James responded, his voice cold with anger. Is one claiming to be Olivia? Emma's therapist warned this might happen. That's not Olivia. She died months ago. Emma has been having these episodes where she believes she's her own twin. I am on my way. The room spun around me as my coworkers looked at me with a mixture of pity and fear. Everything I built in the months since losing my sister, my career, my relationship, my sanity was being stripped away in minutes, and Olivia watched it all with tear-filled eyes that couldn't quite hide the satisfaction lurking beneath. 6 months earlier, Olivia and I had planned a quiet celebration for our 25th birthday. Just the 2 of us at our favorite hiking spot overlooking the city, watching the sunset with a bottle of wine and chocolate cupsa. As identical twins, we'd shared every birthday together. It was our tradition. I have something big to tell you, Olivia had texted that morning. Don't be late. Sunset waits for no one. I arrived 15 minutes early, climbing the familiar trail with anticipation. Olivia and I had always been close, but over the past year she'd become increasingly secretive. Our conversations felt superficial, lacking the deep connection we'd always shared. I hoped whatever she wanted to share would bridge that growing distance, but when I reached our spot, Olivia wasn't there. I waited as the sun sank lower, calling her repeatedly. Each call went straight to voicemail. Olivia, where are you? I am at our spot. No response. As darkness fell, worry gnawed at me. This wasn't like her. We might have drifted apart, but Olivia never missed our birthday. Never. I drove to her apartment using my emergency key to let myself in. Everything looked normal, too normal. Her bed was made, dishes put away, plants freshly watered. But her passport was missing from its usual drawer along with her emergency cash. Over the next weeks, I reported her missing, organized search parties, and plastered her face on posters around the city. The police investigation revealed troubling details. Olivia had withdrawn nearly all her savings the day before our birthday. Her phone's GPS last pinged near the Canadian border. Security camera showed her boarding a bus with a small suitcase, looking calm and determined. It appears your sister left voluntarily, the detective told me gently after a month of searching. To here is no evidence of foul play. I refused to believe Olivia would leave without saying goodbye, but as weeks turned to months with no word, even I began to lose hope. My parents, devastated, finally arranged a memorial service. We need closure, Emma, my mother said, squeezing my hand. We all do. Throughout those painful months, I replayed our last interactions obsessively, looking for signs I might have missed. Had she been unhappy, in trouble? The last photo I had of us together was from 3 months before she vanished. We were smiling, arms around each other's shoulders, but looking at it now, I noticed how Olivia's smile didn't reach her eyes. There was something calculating in her expression that I'd missed before. 2 months after her disappearance, strange things began happening. My bank questioned charges I hadn't made. A coworker mentioned seeing me at a restaurant across town when I'd been home with a cold. An old friend emailed asking about my sudden interest in reconnecting. I dismissed these incidents as coincidences, or people mistaking someone else for me. Grief was already taking its toll. I'd lost weight, couldn't sleep, and jumped at shadows. My therapist suggested these paranoid thoughts might be manifestations of my unresolved loss. Then I met James. He was the cousin of my colleague Eilish, visiting from Seattle. We connected over coffee after work. He was kind, attentive, and somehow made me laugh despite my grief. For the first time since losing Olivia, I felt the fog lifting. You deserve happiness, he told me on our 3rd date, gently taking my hand. Your sister would want that for you. Our relationship progressed quickly, too quickly perhaps, but I was so desperate to escape the pain of Olivia's absence that I didn't question it. When 3 months, James had proposed, presenting me with a vintage emerald ring that made my heart swell. I said yes without hesitation, eager to build something new from the ashes of my loss. The night he proposed, I dreamt of Olivia for the first time in weeks. In the dream, she stood at the foot of my bed, wearing my clothes and smiling my smile. I woke, gasping, the phantom scent of her perfume lingering in the air. If only I'd recognized it as a warning. After accepting James's proposal, I threw myself into creating a new life, one filled with future plans rather than past regrets. I moved into James's downtown apartment with its sweeping city views, decorated a home office for my growing freelance design work, and began planning our wedding for the following spring. You seem happy, my mother observed during Sunday brunch 3 months after Olivia's memorial. Her eyes still carried the haunted look they'd held since my sister's disappearance, but she managed a small smile. It's good to see you living again. I squeezed her hand. I am trying, Mom. I still miss her every day. Of course you do. Just remember, healing isn't betrayal. Those words comforted me as I gradually reclaimed joy. James encouraged my recovery, surprising me with thoughtful gifts and planning weekend getaways to distract me from the approaching holidays. The first I'd spend without my twin. You are the strongest person I know, James whispered one night as we lay in bed. The way you've handled losing your sister, most people would have fallen apart completely. His admiration made me uncomfortable. I hadn't told him about the nights I still cried myself to sleep or how I sometimes called Olivia's disconnected number just to hear her voicemail greeting. Our relationship had begun when I was at my most vulnerable, and I worried he'd only ever known the broken version of me. My first hint that something was wrong came 4 months after Olivia disappeared. I received a notification from my bank about unusual activity. Someone had attempted to reset my password multiple times. Probably just a glitch, James reassured me. But something about it triggered my instincts. More incidents followed. My email account showed logins from unfamiliar locations. Photos I'd never taken appeared in my cloud storage, ordinary streetscapes of neighborhoods I didn't recognize. My social media accounts showed search histories for my old high school friends and distant relatives I rarely mentioned. I think someone's hacking my accounts, I told James one evening, showing him the strange activity. He frowned, taking my phone to examine it. Maybe we should change all your passwords. We spent the evening securing my accounts, but the uneasiness lingered. The intrusions felt oddly personal, not like random hacking attempts. Outer was accessing my information, wasn't stealing money or sending spam. They were observing Lorraine studying my life. One night, I woke at 3 a.m. to find James's side of the bed empty. From the living room, I heard his muffled voice on the phone. I understand, he was saying quietly. Yes, everything's on track. She doesn't suspect anything. I know what I am doing. I retreated silently to bed, heart racing. When James returned, I pretended to be asleep, my mind cycling through innocent explanations. Work stress, a surprise party, wedding plans, but the next morning when I casually asked who'd called so late, his answer came too quickly. Just my buddy Mike from college. He's going through a rough divorce and needed to talk. James kissed my forehead. Sorry if I woke you. James didn't have a college friend named Mike. In all our months together, he'd never once mentioned him. That weekend while James was at the gym, I did something I'd never done before. I searched through his phone. Most of his text conversations seemed normal, but several messages had been recently deleted. His call history showed regular communications with a number saved simply as E, with calls often coming late at night or when I was at work. My engagement ring suddenly felt heavy on my finger. 2 weeks later, I returned home early from a client meeting to find a woman leaving our apartment building from behind with her shoulder-length brown hair and similar build. She could have been me. By the time I reached the lobby, she was gone. When I asked James if he'd had a visitor, he seemed genuinely confused. Nobody's been here all day, he insisted. I've been working from home alone. That night, I dreamt of Olivia again. In the dream, she sat at my vanity table, practicing my expressions, mimicking the way I spoke, and laughed. Why are you doing this? I asked in the dream. She turned to me with a cold smile. Because you've always had what I wanted. I woke with a gasp. The dream so vivid it felt like a visitation. The next day, I discovered a stranger had been asking questions about me at work. She looked just like you, my colleague Gasha said. I assumed she was your sister before I remembered, you know. What did she ask about? Just basic stuff, how long you've worked here, your relationship with the boss, your daily schedule. I thought maybe she was a distant relative you hadn't mentioned. I squirmed in my stomach. That night, I started a document detailing every strange incident, every inconsistency in James's stories, every unexplained presence. The pattern was becoming clear, but the explanation remained just beyond my grasp, until the morning Olivia walked into my office. After the chaos at my workplace, security escorted both of us to separate conference rooms through the glass walls. I watched James arrive, rushing past my room without a glance to embrace Olivia in the adjacent space. The betrayal cut deep, seeing my fiancée comfort the sister who'd stolen my identity. Director Marcus entered my room with Etage, Sylvia, Emma, or whoever you are, we need to sort this out immediately. I placed my driver's license, birth certificate, and passport on the table. I'm Emma Sullivan. I've worked here for 3 years. That woman is my twin sister, Olivia, who disappeared 6 months ago. They examined my documentation carefully. These look legitimate, Marcus admitted reluctantly. Because they are, I insisted. Call our parents, they can confirm. When my mother arrived 30 minutes later, her face drained of color seeing both of us through the glass walls. She rushed into my room first, steadying my face before pulling me into a fierce hug. Oh, Emma, she whispered, and relief flooded me. Then she stepped back, tears streaming down her face. But if you are Emma, then? She turned toward the other conference room where Olivia watched us intently. Marcus led my mother over, and through the glass, I watched their interaction unfold. My mother's shock, Olivia's calculated tears, their tentative embrace. When my mother returned, her expression was bewildered. She says she's Emma too. She knows things only Emma would know. Mom, she's my twin. We shared a bedroom for 18 years. Of course she knows things about me. My mother squeezed my hand. I need time to process this. You both seem so convinced. After more discussion and verification, the company decided to give us both paid leave until the situation could be resolved. James took Olivia home. To my home, while my mother insisted I stay with her and my father temporarily. That night, I slipped out after my parents were asleep. I took an Uber to my apartment building. Using my key to enter quietly inside, I found James and Olivia sitting on the couch I'd helped pick out, drinking wine and speaking in hushed tones. They didn't hear me until I was standing in the living room doorway. I want to talk to my sister alone, I announced, making them both jump. James leapt to his feet. You shouldn't be here. I am calling the police. Go ahead, I challenged. I still legally live here. My name is on the lease. Olivia placed a restraining hand on James's arm. It's okay. Let me talk to her. Reluctantly, James retreated to the bedroom, leaving us alone for a long moment. We just stared at each other, mirror images in different outfits. I'd thrown on jeans and a sweatshirt in my hurry to confront her while she wore my favorite silk pajamas. Why? I finally asked. Why did you fake your death? Why are you pretending to be me? Olivia took a sip of wine, eerily calm. I am not pretending to be anyone. I am Emma Sullivan. Cut the crap, Olivia. It's just us now. What game are you playing? A smile ghosted across her lips. The same game we've been playing since we were children. Who's the better twin? This isn't a game. You disappeared for 6 months. Do you have any idea what that did to our family, to me? Poor Emma, she mocked. Always the victim, or as the good daughter, the successful twin, the one with the bright future. Her bitterness shocked me. We'd had the same opportunities growing up. If anything, Olivia had been our parents' favorite, more outgoing, more charming, less serious than me. What are you talking about? You chose to leave. You abandoned us. I needed a fresh start, she said simply. A clean break by stealing my life, my fiancé told. Olivia laughed, the sound chilling. We met first. Actually, I was dating him for weeks before I introduced him to you. The room seemed to tilt. What? James knew who I was from the beginning. After I disappeared, I needed someone to help me observe you, learn your routines, routines, your passwords, your habits. James was perfect, the caring boyfriend helping you through grief while feeding me every detail about your life. I felt physically ill. But why? We're sisters. I've always loved you, have you? Olivia leaned forward, eyes burning with an intensity I'd never seen. You've always had the life I wanted, Emma. The stable career, the respect, the future. I was always just the other one, the twin who couldn't quite measure up. That's not true. You were always more popular, more liked maybe, but not more valued. She gestured around the apartment. Look at what you've built. The perfect life. I just decided I wanted it for myself. By erasing me, she shrugged. I prefer to think of it as a swap. You can be Olivia now, the missing sister, presumed dead, stawed fresh somewhere like I was going to. The calculated cruelty left me speechless. This wasn't the sister I'd grown up with, shared secrets with, loved unconditionally. What happened to you, Olivia? Her expression flickered, something vulnerable breaking through before hardening again. Life happened. Disappointment happened. You Tate, you succeed while I struggled happened. I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. We can fix this, come clean, explain it was some kind of breakdown. We'll get through it together. Olivia stood abruptly. Gee, here is nothing to fix. As far as everyone is concerned, I am Emma Sullivan now, and you are a mentally unstable woman claiming to be me. She walked to the bedroom door. James, call the police. She's becoming threatening. As James emerged with phone in hand, I backed toward the exit. This isn't over, Olivia. My name is Emma, she replied with perfect confidence. And yes, it is over. For the next week, I lived in a strange limbo. My parents, confused and distressed, insisted on DNA tests, which would prove nothing since Olivia and I were identical twins with identical DNA. The police, responding to James's report about my intrusion, issued a temporary restraining order, keeping me away from my own apartment. My work placed me on indefinite leave pending resolution of personal issues. My bank accounts were frozen after Olivia reported fraud. My friends received concerning texts supposedly from Emma about her unstable twin sister who needed to be avoided. Piece by piece, my life was being dismantled. We need evidence, my father insisted, still struggling to believe that the daughter who'd returned was actually Olivia. Something that proves which of you is which. But Olivia had been methodical. When I returned to my parents' home after the confrontation, I found my childhood bedroom had been subtly altered. Sectinol albums were missing specific pictures. Mementos that would have helped establish my identity were gone. She's been planning this for months, I realized aloud. Maybe longer. I needed allies, so I sought out my oldest friend, Natalie, who'd known us since kindergarten. We met at a klesve far from my usual haunts. There must be something, Natalie said after I explained everything. Some way to prove you are you. Olivia knows everything about me. She studied my mannerisms, my history, my relationships. She even faked journal entries documenting episodes where I supposedly believed I was her. Natalie frowned. What about your appendectomy scar from senior year? Identical twins, Nat. We both had our appendixes removed, right? She thought harder. Wait, what about that night in college? The bonfire at Lake Monroe when you fell and broke your ankle. I stared at her. Olivia wasn't there. She had mono and stayed home that weekend, so she wouldn't know the details. Who carried you to the car, which hospital you went to, what the doctor's name was. It was a small thread, but I clung to it desperately. Halot the next days, I compiled a list of experiences unique to me that Olivia couldn't possibly know in detail. Conversations I'd had while she was traveling, clients I'd worked with after she disappeared, intimate moments with James that I'd never shared with her. My investigation led me to Joyce, the receptionist at my therapist's office. I need to know if someone else has been coming to my appointments, I explained quietly. Someone who looks exactly like me. Joyce's confusion confirmed my suspicions before she even spoke. You said therapy wasn't for you and never scheduled another appointment. I'd been seeing Dr. Melissa Barrett weekly for months. The woman who'd canceled my therapy wasn't me. Armed with this discovery, I dug deeper. I contacted my Tom Flightalist dentist, even my favorite barista Enian, who might have interacted with Emma Sullivan recently. Olivia had been methodically inserting herself into my routine for months before making her official appearance, but the most damning evidence came from an unexpected source. While searching through old emails, I discovered untouched accounts I'd created years ago and forgotten, a defunct Terra dress from college, an abandoned cloud storage account. Logging in, I found emails Olivia had sent herself from various fake accounts, detailing her plans. Phase 1 complete. James is in position, West the suspects nothing. Phase 2. Ding identity integration, small charges on her cards. Test delogens to her accounts. Reminder, Prabraktis signature again. Still not matching bank records. The emails revealed that James had never been my fiancé at all. He was Olivia's boyfriend, planted in my life to gather intelligence and gain my trust. The proposal, the future plans, all elaborate fiction designed to complete my isolation when Olivia finally made her move. Most disturbing was a folder containing detailed notes on my daily habits, personality traits, and relationships, a comprehensive guide to becoming Emma Sullivan. I printed everything, securing copies in multiple locations. Then I reached out to Detective Rivera, who'd handled Olivia's missing persons case. I know this sounds crazy, I told him, spreading the evidence across his desk, but my sister faked her disappearance as part of a plan to steal my identity. Rivera reviewed the materials with increasing concern. This is disturbing, but proving which twin is which legally is complicated. She's counting on that confusion, on people thinking I am having some kind of breakdown. The organized nature of these communications suggests premeditation, he admitted. I reopened the investigation, but proceed carefully. If what you are saying is true, your sister and this James person have gone to extraordinary lengths. They won't give up easily. Leaving the police station, I felt eyes on me. A block from the precinct, a silver sedan pulled alongside me. The window lowered, revealing James's cold smile. Get in, Emma, or should I call you Olivia now? We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you, I replied, heart pounding. That's not true. He held up his phone, showing a photo of my parents' house. You have plenty to lose by not hearing me out. The threat was unmistakable. Reluctantly, I got into the car. Smart choice, James said, pulling into traffic. Olivia said you'd be stubborn but reasonable when properly motivated. Was any of it real? I asked. Any part of our relationship? He glanced at me, something like pity in his expression. You were a job, Emma, an assignment, nothing more. Why help her do this? Because Olivia is extraordinary. She sees what she wants and takes it. She's the one who deserves a shot at your perfect existence. My life isn't perfect, I protested, and I've worked hard for everything I have. James laughed coldly. Classic Emma, blind to her own privilege. Olivia told me you'd say exactly that. We drove to an abandoned warehouse district at the city's edge. As James parked in a desolate lot, fear gripped me. Had I made a fatal mistake getting into his car? What are we doing here? James reached into his jacket, extracting a manila envelope. Give giving you a choice. The envelope contained a passport, driver's license, credit cards, and $10,000 cash, all in the name of Olivia Sullivan. Leave town, James said flatly. Start over somewhere using Olivia's identity, leave Emma behind, that's the deal. And if I refuse, his expression hardened, then things get unpleasant for everyone you care about, starting with your parents. I stared at the documents, the weight of the choice crushing me. Best exile as Olivia, or fight a battle that might harm everyone I loved. I'll need time to think, I said finally. 24 hours, James replied, starting the car. Then we do things Olivia's way. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I spread the fake identification James had given me across my childhood bedroom floor, examining each item, the passport with my face but Olivia's name, the driver's license. This was the life she'd planned for me. Existence as a ghost, carrying my sister's name while she lived my reality. The sun was rising when clarity finally came. I'd been approaching this all wrong, trying to prove I was Emma, when I should have been proving Olivia was Olivia. I text Detective Rivera. Need to meet. Want something important. Then I called Natalie, my oldest friend, and the only person besides my parents who fully believed I was Emma. I need your help, I told her, and your theatrical skills from drama club. By mid-morning, my plan was in motion. Natalie would pose as a potential client, requesting a meeting with Emma Sullivan at the marketing agency. Meanwhile, I would implement the more dangerous part of my strategy. During the months after Olivia's disappearance, while clearing out her apartment, I discovered a hidden key taped behind her bathroom mirror. The key opened a storage unit in her name, a space I'd kept paying for, unable to bring myself to empty it, while holding on to hope she might return. Now I drove to the facility for the first time since her disappearance. ID, please, the facility manager requested. I handed over Olivia's driver's license from the packet James had given me, holding my breath. The manager glanced at it, then at me, before nodding. Unit 237, same as always. Need me to unlock it? I have the key, I replied, relieved my first gamble had paid off. Unit 237 was small, packed with boxes Olivia had apparently prepared before her disappearance. What I found inside confirmed my worst fears. Notebooks filled with observations about my daily routine, recordings of my phone calls labeled meticulously by date, practice sheets where Olivia had copied my signature hundreds of times, articles about identity theft and twins, a detailed timeline of her plan stretching back 18 months. Most disturbing was a folder labeled Exit Strategy, containing multiple fake identities, evidence that Olivia had prepared options beyond becoming me. I photographed everything, then carefully selected items to take with me. The notebooks, the timeline, the practice signatures. As I prepared to leave, something caught my eye, a small wooden box tucked behind larger containers. Inside was a collection of childhood mementos, photos of us as children, identical in appearance but distinct in expression, birthday cards I'd made for her, a frayed friendship bracelet we'd exchanged at age 10. Beneath these treasures lay a worn leather journal. The first entry, dated shortly after our 23rd birthday, sent chills through me. Emma got the promotion today. Again, she succeeds while I fade into background noise. Mom called to congratulate her, didn't even ask about my job interview. Dad sent her flowers. No one sees me anymore. I am just Emma's less successful reflection. But I've realized something. If I can't beat her, I can become her. I know her better than anyone. I can be a better Emma than Emma ever was. I stared at the words, something breaking inside me. The journal chronicled Olivia's growing resentment, her perception that I'd always been the favored twin, her belief that our parents and friends valued me more. The pain and envy had twisted into obsession, then into a methodical plan to erase me and claim my life. The final entry, dated 1 week before her 25th birthday, read, James has gained her trust completely after I disappear. He'll be there to comfort her, to gather the last details I need. One day I'll simply walk back into the life that should have been mine all along, and Emma will become the ghost. Poetic justice. I clutched the journal to my chest, grief overwhelming me. The sister I'd mourned had been planning my destruction while I searched desperately for her. My phone buzzed. Natalie, meeting set for 3 p.m. She took the bait. I hurried from the storage unit, evidence in hand, and drove directly to Detective Rivera. After reviewing Olivia's journal and timeline, he nodded grimly. This changes things. We have documented premeditation now. Stay somewhere safe while we prepare to bring her in for questioning. I can't hide, I told him. She'll just keep dismantling my life piece by piece. Then what's your plan? He asked, concern evident. I showed him the text from Natalie. I'm going to confront her publicly with witnesses. Force her to reveal herself. Rivera frowned. That's dangerous, Emma. From what you've shown me, your sister is unstable and has a partner willing to threaten violence. Let us handle this. By the time you arrange everything, she could disappear again, taking my life with her. I need to end this today. Despite his objections, Rivera agreed to have plainclothes officers stationed nearby during my confrontation. At the first sign of danger, we intervene, he insisted. At 2:45, I positioned myself in the class booth across from my office building, watching through the window as Natalie arrived for her client meeting with the woman claiming to be Emma Sullivan. Detective Rivera sat at a nearby table pretending to read a newspaper. At precisely 3:10, I entered the building, Olivia's journal and timeline tucked under my arm. In the elevator, I steeled myself for the confrontation ahead, knowing everything depended on the next few minutes. When the doors opened onto the marketing agency's floor, I saw Olivia immediately sitting at my desk, wearing my clothes, showing Natalie a portfolio of my work. And our eyes met across the room, and for an instant, I saw naked panic cross her face before her features smoothed into practiced concern. Security, she called out. She's back. I walked calmly toward her, aware of my colleagues watching in confusion. Hello, Olivia, she stood, backing away. I am not Olivia, I am Emma. You need help. That's interesting, I replied, opening the journal to a marked page. Because according to your own writing, you've been planning to steal my life for over a year. Color drained from her face as she recognized the journal. Where did you get that? From your storage unit, the one you've kept paying for. The one filled with evidence of your plan to erase me and take my place. Murmurs spread through the office as my colleagues processed this exchange. Natalie stood silently beside us, filming everything on her phone. She's delusional, Olivia insisted, her voice rising. That's not my journal. She's making this up. My twin sister disappeared 6 months ago. We all mourned her. Now she's back, claiming to be me. But she made a critical mistake. She left evidence of her plan. I held up the practice sheets showing hundreds of attempts to copy my signature,